Hello, and welcome to this tutorial on JavaScript debugging. So, I'm guilty of using console.log for most of my debugging. However, there are better ways, and let's take a look. So, the Debugger keyword will start a debugging session in Chrome, and you need to have the Chrome tools open for this to take place. You can set breakpoints in the developer tools to set points in which we want the application to stop, so we check on things. And step over advances the application one step forward. And then we can resume to stop the debugging session and let the application continue running. And a watch tab is where we can type a variable and track their values of the application as it executes. And we can remove these watch variables and check on the call stack to see which functions are being called and how they've been called. For example, we could use a set timeout function to see how the timeout works in another function by calling a function within that function. And we can use the file system in the sources tab to open our working directory so we can edit the code in the browser. This can be useful for both development and debugging. And we can allow Chrome to access the file system and make sure you remove them when you're done. They're persistent through browser sessions. There's a Chrome DevTools extension that allows you to do all of that. We had one inside of VS Code, right? Prefer to just do it in the browser, but you can configure it however you want. So the console.log method outputs a message to the web console. The message may be a single string with optional substitution values, or it may be any one or more JavaScript objects. The debugger keyword stops the execution of the program. If we look at this case right here, and here we go. So if I open up the developer tools and I slide this over and we go to our application, so open this up. And get to sources here. And then click on the run button. All right, so I clicked on the run button, and here we see that we're paused at debugger, right? So now we can take this and now we can go down here to the watch. So let me go ahead and adjust the screen. So we have this method where we can step over that. So step over and step over. There we go. And that allows us to step through the code. So that's how we use the debugger tool. We can use breakpoints to stop our code. And as we saw, we can step over, we can resume, and click watch to the watch statement on a specific element. These watch statements are useful in debugging code and figuring out what's actually happening. This is what a watch expression shows you. It shows you a variable, and then as you run the code, you can see what that does. So go back to our example over here. We're using the Debugger keyword. We don't have any watches set up, so we'll go ahead and slide this up here. Okay. Yep. We'll go to watch. Click on watch. Yep. And here's our watch statement. So slide this over. Checking to see that this value is XX225. There we go. So that does that for you. Okay, so moving on. The call stack is just a way for us to check on a set of functions that we're calling, right? It's a way for us to just check and see which functions are being called. All right. So why do I care? Debugging tools help developers find and fix errors in a program before releasing it to the public. What do I need? VS Code, a browser, developer tools. How do I do it? Create a JavaScript file and follow instructions in the next slide. So here we have a challenge write a loop that makes 7 calls to console.log to the output of the following code. Pause video here, try it yourself. And here's the solution. We set a variable s and we set it equal to the pound sign, right? That's the string, and then we iterate through that and keep on appending that until we get the expected output. What if I want to go through my code one line at a time? Use a breakpoint to step over the code.